we're going to get into our next review, and that is Sovereign, starring good old Nick Offerman. That's right. I gave this one a 2.5 out of 5. Very middle of the road. I'll get into why in a second. But I did, Paul, it was too quick. I didn't get a chance to make the graphic for you. But what is your rating of this before we get started?
I put it right at about a 3.5, 4 out of 5. Probably a 4 out of 5.
Okay. I like it. So cannot wait to hear why. But so everybody knows Sovereign is a tale, stars Jacob Tremblay and Nick Offerman as father and son. They recognize themselves as sovereign citizens living within the U.S. And Offerman's character is sort of you can tell he's not chilling, he's not pathetic, but he seem aimless and lost at times. Like he's grieving the loss of his wife, trying to take care of his son. He's a good father. He cares about his son. His son cares about him. They get along really well. It's not something it's not one of those relationships where you fear like, oh, they're not good together. Where that comes in is the philosophies that he's teaching the son, and the son wants to sort of branch out from that, and he's kind of stuck in the life that they lead based on his dominating father. And that again, not an abusively dominating, but somebody who is very manipulative in nature. He's always manipulating people that come around. So they travel around. He does a lot of work trying to help people throughout the Midwest, like recognize what sovereign citizenship is and help them with what's going on with their problems with the government. And it's just one of those worlds where he's never really paying to anything. He's losing his home. He's losing most of the stuff that he has. And it's bringing a lot of tension between him and his son. They're running in and evading the law half the time. So they're not getting evicted or they're not getting pulled over and he's not getting arrested. It's kind of one of those movies where like, it feels like a dark, dramatic road trip type of movie that turns very deadly, almost too late in the movie. That's my problem with this. Like too late into the movie, we get to the actual drama. And then by the time the dust settles, it's over. You get a resolution, but you've spent so much time caring towards these characters that the resolution wasn't a good payoff. They've also added other characters on the other side of it that seem antagonistical, but they're really not, if you think about it in their nature, and they're never really set up to be. And then they're gone very quickly. So this movie for me was very middle of the road. I do think people should check it out. I think it's well directed. I think the cinematography is good. I think the acting is fantastic. The story was a little slow. Well, the story is very slow. And I don't mind a slow burn, but this isn't a slow burn. This is just a dramatically slow move. So it kind of lost me here and there. There were some parts that got a little clunky. Martha Plimpton is in it. Goonies never die, so love to see her. That was fantastic. But I definitely do think you should check out this movie. This is a promising director, in my opinion. He's a young director coming out. Seeing this movie, seeing what he did, and the fact that he wrote it as well, I could see big things from this guy. So I really did like this one. What did you think, Paul?
So I loved it because I've always been kind of a Dennis Quaid fan anyway. So it's great seeing him kind of back as the lead role. Nick Offerman, he just never disappoints in whatever he does. He always gives 100%. So after seeing his performance in, I almost said Left Behind in The Last of Us, I was very excited to see him kind of taking more of a serious dramatic role like this. And to me, he didn't disappoint. There were some lulls, I'll give you that in it, but I think it just helped you build or just kind of give you time to think. To me, this was, I guess, almost like to me, it was kind of more of a beautiful tale of telling two fathers with different thought process. I wouldn't say ideologies because that might be too strong to say, but two different thought processes, and kind of it's my way is right and it's my way, or not the highway, but this is the only way. And they both just don't know how to portray it to their sons correctly. I thought it was very interesting how they kind of went back and forth, and how it was kind of night and day difference, but how you both saw, like you said, both fathers were good fathers. I'm not saying either were complete shitheads one way or the other, but just a different idea.
I almost got to push back a little bit, and I think it's because it's supposed to mirror, like, whereas you see it turn for both of them. And I would have liked that aspect of it, just to kind of debate you on a little bit. If Quaid and the person who played his son, his character, was in it for a longer period of time, and the fact that I don't know his character's name, I don't, not that they don't say it, but I don't feel like they resonated enough on them. Right. And I think if that was like kind of interspliced between, I would have felt more when we get to this point where Dennis Quaid's son has his ordeal and his run-ins, and then he meets his fate, and I'm not giving any spoilers to what that is, but like he meets his fate, and to see Quaid's reaction to that, and how then it takes it even farther, because you do feel for Offerman and Tremblay's characters. I didn't really feel for the other.
Right.
And I think that's how they portrayed it. Now, that's because we got the bad of Quaid. He is a shitty father. I disagree. I think he was a terrible father.
Okay.
Not that he wasn't loving,
right.
but the way, you can love a son, but you can be a bad father.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I got from him. Was he's always criticizing, he was always putting down. Clearly, this guy didn't want to be a cop.
Right.
Clearly, he wasn't ready for it, or he wasn't ready for it out there and such. He's just dealing with a new baby. It's a whole different thing. And then you get to something like this, where it all kind of comes to a head, and then Quaid's character goes on, sort of his tear and what he's doing, and then all you do is you sort of feel bad for the guys who are the bad guys in this.
Right.
They are essentially like it's circumstance. It is what it is. And they do that really nicely, but I wish they had balanced it.
Okay.
Just balance those two. I probably would have liked it more if they had, because they were going for that theme. Either focus on one or equally focus on both.
Right.
So I think that's where I got disjointed in it. But that's the only thing I want to push back on. But I did like the fact that Quaid was a really terrible dad and Offerman was a great. And then by the time when the pressures started to sink in, Quaid becomes a little more calm and Offerman becomes a little more off. But they both had that mentality that they're both like.
Right.
And then Offerman wasn't the greatest dad. Like he's off leaving his kid and going off and doing his things and stuff, but like he was a loving one that showed love, and that's where this ended up, and one that didn't show love and is still sort of I see where it mirrored each other, but I just didn't think it was enough. I just thought it was, but I'm sorry, please proceed.
No. And I can agree with that. And looking it up at the director, and like you said, with him being a writer too, I think this was a good first movie. Absolutely. So I look forward to, seeing where he goes from here, because you're always going to be a hardest critic. So I believe this is just a shadow of things to come. So I'm super excited. If this kind of, wouldn't say quite to the same caliber, but it almost gave me like a Civil War type feels. As far as how it was shot and just kind of grittiness. So I was excited. I feel like I forgot that director's name, and it's going to piss me off. But for Civil War, if he had thank you.
Yeah.
If they had this script, I would have loved to see that aspect of it, because I think maybe it would have been done better to the caliber you wanted. But overall, I enjoyed it. I just thought they did a good job at telling what it was, and just kind of two different aspects of life. And like you said, it's always interesting when the pressure's on, watching kind of people change, or just who they are under pressure, because I feel like you can tell a lot about someone when they're under pressure or all lights on you. So I did enjoy it. Rewatchability, this isn't, it's not like family and friends are coming over and I'm like, we're gonna watch Sovereign together, you guys, let's be in a good mood. This is one to kind of watch and kind of digest and take what you can from it.
This is one of those movies that I think are introspective in nature, and especially for young men, maybe like, okay, just to kind of visualize like fatherhood and like the idea of fatherhood and such, but and how that affects kids. Overall though, it was very dark. You're right. I probably not one I'm ever going to watch again, but not because I didn't like, but because it is one of those ones that's sort of it's not a happy tone movie.
No,
like I'm never going to watch Longlegs as just sitting there comfortably. And the reason I bring that movie up is because the slower pacing is sort of the vibe that you get from this. And again, it's not a burn. You're not slow burning. You're just, it's kind of one foot in front of the other, which is good for a movie sometimes. I love that. And in this case, it was a good movie to have that sort of narrative, but it didn't land fully. But great acting though. Great director. Like I said, I would like to see what else this director comes up for sure. But let's get started on our last review of the night.